Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sports Shorts Daily. He's Tommy Krysan. I'm Ronnie Rants. I'm in an undisclosed location presented by the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. Go to lasportshall.com and check out the Relief Windows Celebrity Golf Classic, November 17th, 18th in Baton Rouge. LeBears, ESPN Sports Bets on the 17th. Big party that night. You and a guest and all your teammates and their guests invited. The 18th, 10 a.m. tea time over at U Club celebrity event. Going to be awesome. All right. And Tommy's over in Tremonti's Meat and Seafood in Baton Rouge, where you see him twice a week over at Mike Tremonti's place. Check out Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. With the holidays coming up, it's going to be telling you in November all about turkey, hams, and everything else they got going on over there. And of course, we're presented by the Bears. LeBears Casino, November 9th, going to be the place. November 8th, going to be the place to be. Better Than Ezra in concert outside on the lawn the night before the LSU-Alabama game. Big concert out on the lawn with Better Than Ezra, November 8th. Get your tickets at Ticketmaster.com or stop by LeBears at the Sundry Store and pick them up. All right, TK, let's get to today. Won the World Series. The Yankees finally show some life. They're down 4-0. They look like they're going to get swept in the series, and all of a sudden they score 11 runs in a row and win 11-4 in that one to at least hold off elimination. It's now 3-1. The Raging Cajuns, they don't look pretty doing it, but they were an underdog. They were a 2.5-point underdog last night on the road in San Marcos, Texas, against a pretty decent Texas State team. Raging Cajuns handle business. They win 5 in a row now. They're 7-1 on the season. 3 of the next 4 games are at home for the Raging Cajuns. So an opportunity for them to potentially get to 10 wins, maybe 11 wins, which would be unbelievable. Billy Napier, 3 years. This is the 3rd season removed from Billy Napier over in, he's at Florida hanging on for his job. And Raging Cajuns poised to have one of their better years. So outstanding stuff. And, oh, by the way, all this is happening in Lafayette. With their stadium under construction, their stadium, they literally, you sit on one side of the stadium, the other side, you can't even sit there. They're building a new side of the stadium with suites and clubs and all that kind of stuff, and taking care of business right now and having an impressive year in the Sun Belt Conference. The New Orleans Saints somehow find themselves a 7-point favorite over the Carolina Panthers. Now, Tommy, I hear you that Derek Carr may be coming back, expected to play this weekend. But, I mean, that offensive line's still trash. He still doesn't have anybody to throw it to. The defense is still a disaster right now without their starting DBs. Derek Carr makes that big of a difference, huh?
I guess he does. Well, he's that much better than Rattler or Hayner, I guess. But it's surprising that the Saints would be a 7-point favorite. Going on your plan from a few weeks ago, just take the Panthers in 7 and roll the dice. And if you bet against the Saints the rest of the way, you're going to win more than you're going to lose if you do that. So, the mandatory Wednesday injury report will come out from the Saints today, and then tomorrow and Friday we'll find out if Carr is going to play. It's on the road, but you got to be thinking, let's flip it around. If you're a Panthers guy or a Panthers fan or what, they're thinking, okay, here's a chance for us to get off the schneid here and get a win against a team that beat us earlier in the year, beat us very badly. We got to flip this around at home, and the Panthers might be thinking, hey, this is our chance to maybe get back in the win column. So, but I don't know. Can the Saints win the game? Certainly they might win it, but I just I can't get fired up about it.
This might be the battle for first pick. I mean, the Saints need to lose this game, actually, so that they can give themselves the best chance possible to get the first pick in the NFL draft. And then from there, you can do what you want. Trade it for picks and players, or keep it and take a franchise quarterback if you think there's one. I mean, there's no value in beating the Panthers. This might be the stinker game of the year. I don't know what's been the bigger flop, the Saints starting 2-0, and then where they've come to now. It's not even just the record. It's not even just the fact that they were 2-0 and have lost 5 or 6, whatever, in a row. It's how bad they are now versus how good they were then. They were one of the greatest teams ever to play the game of football through the first two games in the NFL, setting records, tying records, in conversations with the greatest teams ever, potentially the greatest season ever. And then now they're in the conversation with the worst teams ever. It's amazing. So what's worse, Tommy? Where the Saints are now, or the fact that Aaron and the New York Jets it's just a debacle. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is a Hall of Fame quarterback. Everyone in the world wanted him a couple years ago. He ends up going to New York. He's got, they trade for Adams. They do with it, and they're just like the same record as the Saints. I mean, and they just lost the game. You saw this stat, I'm sure. They just lost a game where they scored 20 plus points last week. They didn't commit a turnover, and they held their opponent to under 250 yards. Since 1940 in the NFL, no team has ever lost with those three metrics. Scored 20 or more, zero turnovers, and hold an opponent to under 250 yards. It was like 756-0 or something like that was the NFL since 1940, and the Jets lost. That just shows you are cursed. It ain't your year. It's done. Blow it up. I don't know. I don't know if you can trade Aaron Rodgers and get some value for him. If he'd be willing to be traded, I don't know. But it's horrible over there right now.
Well, the Panthers were expected to be bad, but the Saints were not, and the Jets were not, and the Bengals were not. But the Saints, Jets, and Bengals have this it's just gotten sideways, and it's not going to. There's no real reason to believe it's going to straighten out and get any better. But and of course, the media, Aaron Rodgers, he beats to a different drum. He's done that when he was in Green Bay, but when they were winning lots of games and going to the playoffs, people didn't talk about that as much. But he came out yesterday, told fans, be patient. There's a lot of football left. There's a lot of football left, but do you have reason to believe that it's going to get better? And I don't think most people do for the Jets, and for that matter, for the New Orleans Saints. And I mean, we're just going to have to ride it out and see what happens.
The whole thing with Aaron Rodgers is, now, this is where the criticism comes, right? As you mentioned, he's not coachable. He does whatever he wants. He's not, is he committed? Now everybody starts talking about the offseason, how, he went on vacation and he did this and he did that. And it's like, well, he's always done those things, but now, now it's an issue. I wouldn't be surprised if Aaron Rodgers hangs it up at the end of this year. It doesn't seem like he loves football enough to where he'll just want to go play somewhere to continue, even if he is healthy. I don't know. The only thing that you can hope for as a football fan, it's not even about being a Jet fan. Aaron Rodgers is an all-time great. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I want to see Aaron Rodgers stay in the NFL. It's good for the game. But I don't know how much he wants to stay in the NFL. And at this point, being a 1-year Band-Aid guy, he doesn't seem like the type that you could just pick up, throw into your culture. You're not a good team. You're a bad team. You want to throw Aaron Rodgers in there. All of a sudden, it's not like Tom Brady going to Tampa, right? Like he doesn't have that kind of, he's a likable guy. We saw behind the scenes with HBO, 2 years ago with the Jets, year before last, like, oh, okay, he's not a bad guy. He seems that more entertaining. But he's not also a super great guy or a guy who's in April calling his guys and saying, hey, meet me at the local high school. We're going to have 8 of us working on passing. Like, that's not him. He's just showing up in camp and he's going to do his job. But he's not interested year round in connecting and being a leader of men and changing the culture of a franchise. He's just going to worry about him.
Well, and, one thing that always means a little bit more to me is when players in the NFL make a comment. Okay, they know the game as well as anybody. I don't care if you're on the Panthers team. You're still an NFL player. And some of the opponents of Aaron Rodgers said the guy can't move. And when they say he can't move, they're talking about they're not worried about him moving, okay? And that takes one thing off the list, the to-do list for the defense. When another NFL player says that guy can't move or that guy's lost it a little bit, or they all talked about Drew Brees and Manning at the end of their careers when they couldn't throw the ball down the field. They knew that. And they know Rodgers can't move. I don't think that's enough to make a difference if all of a sudden he would get a little bit more mobile. He doesn't want to move. He doesn't want to get hit. And it's a mess in New York. Jets fans, Giants fans, it's tough to be a football fan in New York.
There's a lot of Garrett Nussmeier in Aaron Rodgers, and they're very alike is what I mean. Is one, they love to throw off their back foot, and then when they both have the ultimate confidence because of their arm strength to put it in there or to fit it in there or, to throw it into double coverage. Aaron Rodgers had a big part of his abilities over the years was the scramble part, not the running, but the scramble. The fact that he had such good movement in the pocket or he had enough speed to get out, get that edge, and then had the cannon arm. Like you said, with the Achilles injury and father time, he's not the same mobility. And the arm strength, albeit it's still plenty fine, it is off. It's not his same arm strength as before. And so there, his eyes are the same and he thinks he can make that throw, but now he doesn't step into it as well. And the arms is just a little off and all those things. And we're seeing that, with Nussmeier. Nussmeier has that wild abandonment, that rogue mentality, that Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers gunslinger in him, but yet without being, a Hall of Fame quarterback like those two guys are, and he's not getting away with it. But anyway, the New Orleans Saints have a chance to win. I don't know how you feel about it as a Saints fan. Pull for them, pull against them. Personally, I'm going to watch the game and don't care if they win or lose. And actually, if they lose, the silver lining is a lot closer to that first pick. You want them to have that first pick or second pick if you're going to be hot garbage. Last night, by the way, I don't know if you saw this, Tommy. The Louisiana Tech lost 9-3 to Sam Houston. In college football, and Sam Houston's not a bad team this year. Actually, they're pretty good. 3 points they scored. That's hard to do in college football. I mean, it's not like Louisiana Tech was going up against Alabama. They went up against Sam Houston. They lost 9-3. Things aren't quite kosher up in Ruston. The Pellies lost one last night. They're now 2-2. Speaking of, how we told you about the Jets? Yeah, last week they lost the game for the first time since 1940. No one's lost where they scored 20, gave up 0 turnovers, and allowed opponent under 250. How about the Pellies lost the game where they shot over 40% from 3, over 50% from 2, out-rebounded their opponent by 10 rebounds, and shot 70% from the free throw line and still lost handily to Golden State. Why? Because Golden State, without any of their stars, you had to have a roster to figure out who was playing for the Golden State. No Steph Curry last night. They end up shooting, they shot over 40% from 3, over 45% from 2, but they ended up making, I think, like 12 or 13 more three-pointers than the Pels. And more importantly, they only had 8 turnovers in the game. The Pels had 23 or 24. I mean, that's it. They had 23 or 24 turnovers to Golden State's 8. So they had a lot more possessions, and they made a dozen more threes, and that's the ballgame.
Well, it'll be a long year for the Pelicans. I really believe that. And we talk about the fans of New York. What about the fans in New Orleans with the Saints and the Pelicans? And I know there's a long way to go with the Pelicans, but I just don't see any reason to all the things you just pointed out. Who knows how long Williamson will stay healthy? I mean, there's lots of factors here. It's just tough. And I can't get fired up about the Pelicans. I know you go to a handful of games every year and you enjoy it and all that. I just can't get excited. And a lot of people I talk to, like Pelicans, they're focusing on college football or they're focusing on other things. I mean, it's just when they're not good, everybody loves a winner. And when you're not good and you don't have success, you don't get that vibe. You don't get that warm and fuzzy feeling.
Zion scored 31. Ingram had 30. I mean, like I said, everybody shot the ball well. It's just the turnovers were just atrocious. I mean, in the NBA to have over 20 turnovers is just ridiculous. And I think a dozen of them were steals. CJ McCollum wasn't a factor, didn't play well. But the big two, Ingram and Zion, had a good offensive night. Pels just don't inherently play defense. Those guys I mentioned right there, it's not their first priority. And in the NBA, it's kind of almost like arena football. You got to play a little defense. You got to at least slow down the opponent. And the Pelicans didn't do that last night. Now, they get the rare opportunity to do it again tonight. Back-to-back nights playing the Golden State in Golden State. So an opportunity for them to see if they can right the wrong. Last night was the World Series. Freddie Freeman, I don't know what's going on here. Freddie Freeman hits his 6th home run in a row in his 6 World Series games 2 with the Braves, the last 2 of the series a couple years ago when they won the title, and then 4 straight now. He's only the second guy to have 4 straight homers in a World Series. Springer with the Astros did it a few years back. Unbelievable, and it gives them the 2-0 lead. Like not only are they home runs, Tommy, they are gigantic home runs. They are the difference makers. We all talk about the walk-off grand slam, first time World Series history that's ever happened. It happened at the same time as Kirk Gibson back 36 years ago, all that. But like these other home runs were massive. You know, he hit a homer in game 3 and 4 in the first inning to give his team a 2-0 lead. Like what a giant thing that is to help your team. And the Dodgers were up 4-0 yesterday. You thought for sure they were going to cruise, and they didn't. But I mean, Freddie Freeman right now, it's unbelievable what he's doing.
When do you stop pitching to him? You know what I mean? When do you say, hey, we're coming high and outside, and if you could hit it out the other way in Yankee Stadium, we'll do it. With that short porch and right, I mean, part of that's on the Yankee pitching coaches, staff, catchers, guys. That just somebody's got to say we can't keep throwing him the ball over the heart of the plate, okay, or down and in, which all lefties love that ball down and in. It's just what it is. But Freddie Freeman, I mean, he's the MVP. Dodgers win tonight. I don't care what else happens tonight. He would be the MVP. When you start doing things in baseball that's never been done before, you get some people's attention, okay? Because it's a game driven by numbers, driven by statistics and comparisons. It hadn't happened since '63 or hadn't happened since '81. I mean, that's what baseball purists love, all that crunch them numbers. And when you do something that hadn't been done before, you get attention, and rightfully so.
I mean, in a sport that's been around, I don't know, 150 years, yeah, you're right. And like last night, it was a breaking ball, slider on the outside half, on the outside third, and Freddie Freeman just jumped it and hooked it. And I mean that's what Yankee Stadium has always sort of been known for, right? Is that short right field porch, but it's ridiculous. And in the new stadium, it plays even shorter. I mean, we see so many right-handed hitters like almost hitting like missed it. Oh shit, it's a homer. I mean, it kind of, other way, hit it well. But I mean, that, there's a lot of balls that get hit in that right field that that would never be a home run anywhere else. I don't know why they don't have just 9 lefty hitters in their lineup if they're the Yankees.
Ronnie, we're getting a lot of comments. People want to know what's your Halloween costume going to be. And we've got somebody, Bryce says he's got a Queen of Sparkles outfit you can wear. Apparently he wore it already. And you're a little bigger than Bryce. But there's a lot of people wanting to know what's the Ron Halloween get-up.
Usually I put a lot of thought and a lot of creativity into my Halloween get-ups. This year I kind of mailed it in a little bit. I went just cowboy. So a few weeks ago when I was in Scottsdale on vacation, I bought a turquoise kind of, turquoise button, kind of old school cowboy shirt. That I thought, I'm gonna buy that. It was on sale. It was nice. It's nice, cool. It's a very good quality shirt. And I thought, I'll wear that once a year for some kind of cowboy thing or theme. Maybe I go to a country concert. Maybe I'm emceeing something, or I'm at an event that's Western related. All right. So I bought it, and I got, so now I got the belt buckle, the cowboy boots, the hat, which it part of why to me it works is because I'm so not a cowboy. I'm so not Western, right? Like, I mean, like I would never normally wear that. And so that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm kind of like, I guess call me urban cowboy, kind of a John Travolta look from the early 70s, that urban cowboy kind of look. That's what I'm going with. So Bryce may beat me with something, but this year I'm just kind of going urban cowboy, and it's working.
Yeah, Greg has posted a picture of you in that cowboy outfit. It's been on X a good bit here lately. I've seen it, and you can check it out on X if those of you want to see it. And maybe we'll have a picture for you Friday. Who knows? I don't. We'll go from there. But also, we got a request. You should be Toy Story Woody.
There you go. It kind of has a little bit of. It kind of has a little bit of the Woody. I guess I would have to get the little fake revolvers. Put them. Do something like that. What's Chris saying? What did he say?
He said the Toy Store Woody would be better.
That's
I mean, you've kind of created this, right? With all the Rougarou Ron and the Ron King when you had the boxing match, and I mean, you've kind of got a reputation to live up to.
You know, it's funny how far we've come. I dressed up as Donald Trump, the first election, that he won. So what was that? 2016, I guess. 2017, whatever. I was the MC at LeBear's. We did the Halloween party that I just emceed this past Friday. The Halloween, the Molly Ringwald's playing the $5,000 costume contest. LeBear's been doing that for 12 years, whatever. And I dressed up as Donald Trump. I mean, I had a marketing girl there kind of help me with the makeup and the wig, and I mean, it was done. When I walked out, they played "Money, Money, Money, Money" from his TV show and everything. Now, if I did that, I'd be canceled. You know what I mean? Now, half the crowd, part of the crowd would boo, part of the crowd would cheer. I'd probably be like the Penn National would probably be like, "Hey, don't dress up." It's crazy to think how far we've come. But part of me dressing up as Donald Trump back then was because honestly, nobody really thought he was going to win. It was sort of out a little bit of a joke. It was sort of ridiculous that Donald Trump was running for president. I mean, like I remember betting on the app. Donald Trump was, I think, a 3-1 or 4-1 underdog back when he won the election his first time up. And so when he did finally win, it was so shocking that but again, it just goes to show 8 years later. I mean, how wild is it? Now people wear the Trump for president. It's like, half the segment of the population is like, he's got that on, which is so terrible that's where we're at. All right, TK, what else we got? Anything else before we get to?
That's pretty much LSU with the open date. Again, big football game, Ohio State, Penn State, that 2 undefeateds, 3 versus 4. That's the big matchup of the weekend. Game day will be there. And curious to see whether game day is going to come to Baton Rouge to see Nick Saban.
Is that in Happy Valley, the game?
Yeah, it's in Penn State, and Ohio State, 3.5-point favorite. And we'll talk about that Saturday morning on Sports Shorts Radio. By the way, this Saturday morning, we will be over in Plaquemine at Fat Daddy's. Great sandwiches and food, and Ryder and the gang do a great job. And, of course, Sports Shorts Radio now airing Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and Lake Charles on ESPN Southwest Radio, and, of course, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. So that'll be this Saturday. We'll talk about that Ohio State, Penn State matchup, etc. So a lot going on, and we'll be back again on Friday morning for another episode of Sports Shorts Daily.
All right, tell us about Tremonti's as we get out of here.
Yeah, Wednesday burger special, burger and fries, $6.99. You can eat it here. You can get it to go. Gift cards are a big thing at Tremonti's. Any denomination, gift cards for Thanksgiving, Christmas, you can put it on anything, the wine, the liquor, the meat, the seafood, everything in the frozen food case. Gift cards, get them at Tremonti's. They got a ton of them in to get ready for the holiday season. Great idea for your employees, great idea for the neighbors, your friends. Give them a Tremonti's gift card. You'll be glad you did. There's so much stuff in here. And again, today, as they do each and every Wednesday, the hamburger special. You can eat it here or get it to go. $6.99 for a burger and fries. As we mentioned, we'll be back Friday morning with another episode of Sports Shorts Daily. Happy Halloween, everybody. Hope trick and treat goes well. I'm Tommy Christ saying, have a great day, everyone.